Hello and welcome to Mortal Stories, where I will be your guide into the darker depths of reality. In this episode, we'll be looking at Irish vampires and the stories surrounding them. I think it's safe to say that due to the famous novel Dracula written by the Irish author Bram Stoker in 1897, vampires have become synonymous with the Romanian province of Transylvania, which is interesting as Stoker never actually visited Romania or actually any country in Eastern Europe during his lifetime. In fact, many cultures have their own versions of a vampire-type creature. The ancient Mesopotamians had stories of blood-drinking demons. The ancient Persians had stories of monsters that would drink the blood of men. Or in ancient Indian folklore, stories of the Vitalas, who were ghouls that inhabited corpses, which would become bat-like in appearance and hang upside down. We will be looking into two Irish legends that may have inspired the future writings of Dracula. These are the legend of the Dearg-Due and the legend of the Abertash. So grab some snacks, sit back, and let's get started, friends. A young woman from Waterford, who was known throughout the island for her overwhelming beauty, fell in love with a peasant who worked on a nearby farm. They grew close and soon began speaking about marriage and the possibility of having their own family. It was deemed unacceptable by her cruel, greedy father, who forced her into an arranged marriage with a local chieftain known for his wealth and violent, cruel ways. Her father deemed him acceptable because the chieftain was very wealthy, and wealth is what her father craved the most in life. Ignoring the daughter's protest, the arranged marriage went ahead, and in return the father received land and riches for his daughter, which I'm sure he was pleased about. Her new husband treated her terribly. It was found out he was much more violent and horrid than thought, and kept her as a trophy of sorts, locking her up for weeks at a time. Soon enough, she gave up on what little hope she had left for a happy ending, and she refused to eat or drink, and as a result passed away. The chieftain, despite his enormous wealth, gave her a small, modest funeral, and soon married again. Her own father cared little of her death, as he was too engrossed with his own newfound wealth. The only person who grieved for her was her first love, the peasant, who would have given her a long and happy life. He visited her grave regularly, and each time his anger and hunger for revenge would only grow stronger in response to the injustice of what had happened. His anger combined with the residual anger from the spirit of the girl, who was filled with so much rage after death that she left her grave in search for revenge. She first stopped at her father's home. She opened the door and entered, moving silently through the house until she reached his bedroom. Her father lay asleep in his bed. She knew he now had a comfortable life by selling her off to the highest bidder, not caring what happened to her, not even caring that she had died. She took her revenge on him, killing him in his sleep, and swiftly leaving, as her lust for revenge had not been sated. There was yet another who had to pay. She went to the home of the chieftain, who had taken her as a prize and treated her as property. She entered his home and burst through his bedroom door. What she saw she was not prepared for, however. The chieftain was in bed with a number of women, having not taken a single day to mourn her passing. She flew into a rage, nay, a fury, and launched herself at the chieftain and killed him. She then drank his blood, from which she felt invigorated like never before. Her revenge was complete, but she now craved this feeling of aliveness that only human blood could supply. She was now known as the Dearg-Due, or the Red Bloodsucker. She used her beauty that was famed across the island to her advantage, luring in unsuspecting men, gaining their trust, and when at their most vulnerable, killing them by sinking her teeth into their necks and drinking their blood. This sated her for a time, but with each drink she grew more famished. She needed more blood. She needed more victims to quench her unending thirst, her unending hunger for the elixir of life. She took more and more victims, snuffed out their life and drank their life force. And then she was gone. The vampiress disappeared, never to be seen again. What happened to her? Where did she go? I suspect we shall never get an answer. Thank you for joining us for part 1 of Irish Vampire Stories. I really hope you enjoyed, and if you did, I'm sure you'll join us again for part 2. Until then,